What's good, everybody? My name is Mikey, and today I got a special reaction for you guys all. I got SOFTDRINKTV, All Pro Football 2K8 Retrospective. If you're not aware of SOFTDRINKTV, he does a lot of retrospectives and reviews, and just talks a lot about the state of sports games and sports game simulations. And I think what he's most known for is being uh, super outspoken against Madden and the especially in the last 10 to 15 years, because they once did make really good games, but that was when they had competition, and they since have lost that competition, which he will talk a little bit more in depth about. But this video is a little bit older, but I think if you haven't seen it, it's definitely a really good watch. As always, the link will be in the description down below. Just remember to grab your sody pops, your drinks, your bevs, and your snacks. Let's head into this video.
Everyone knows the story of NFL 2K5. It's the greatest football video game ever made. The next year, Dark Lord of the gaming industry, Electronic Arts, signed an exclusive deal with the NFL, and the rest was history. 2K5 was 2K's final NFL game, and the story ends there. Or does it? After Sega sold 2K to Take-Two Interactive, the company wanted to re-enter the football video game market. With Madden being the only NFL game allowed, 2K had to think outside the box. What they ended up creating was a football game filled with nearly 250 of the greatest NFL players ever, including Jerry Rice, Barry Sanders, John Elway, and more. Without an NFL license, they couldn't create NFL teams, so users were given the freedom to create their own teams from scratch, choosing a logo, uniform, and roster by selecting players from the pool of historic greats. 2K took the same revered 2K5 gameplay and improved upon it, adding new animations, mechanics, and graphics, while keeping the same foundation that made 2K5 great. This resulted in the creation of the best playing football game ever made, All Pro Football 2K8. No football game has ever come close to matching the authentic gridiron action of 2K8. While the game was flawed and lacked the depth of 2K5 or Madden, the gameplay was so good that it didn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
As time has passed, new creation
That's how good the
software
gameplay
and
is.
tools have prolonged the life of this game, allowing users to recreate NFL, college, or any other league inside the game, as well as use software to play through a fully fledged franchise mode, which wasn't originally possible when the game released. This is the story of All Pro Football 2K8 in 2019. The gameplay footage I'll be demonstrating is from 2K Football Now, who has a YouTube channel and a Twitter page.
Shout out to 2K Football Now.
He used editing software, which I will go over later, to create a 1993 NFL roster, complete with all players and uniforms. One of the first things that might stick out at you from watching this gameplay is the pocket formation and movement. The way the quarterback moved up into the pocket to step up and make a tough throw,
good, dude.
or the way the pocket could collapse in on him and allow a sack.
Look at this blocking. Look at
the way players moved. The
pressure, look at how the pocket collapses. It's just so organic and fluid.
Looks much nicer than Madden. Let's take a look at Randall Cunningham throwing the ball in 2K8 and modern Madden. As someone who's always wanted to play quarterback as a kid and would practice throwing the ball over and over and over, the way Cunningham shifts his weight, winds up, and spirals the ball off his fingers is on point in 2K8. In Madden, it just looks
so
awkward.
Fluid.
The graphics look prettier, but when comparing these animations, 2K8 looks way more realistic, and this game is from 2007. 2K, even today, love them or hate them, has always had a knack for attention to detail, and this game is full of it. On dropbacks, 2K8 has the quarterback step back exactly like he would in real life, and you can see his body weight shift to his back foot on the last step of his drop. It just looks nice. In Madden, Cunningham just sort of hops backwards. If any quarterback's drop looked like that in real life,
that's not a real drop back.
They would probably become a meme.
Okay, I want to say also, I want to add to this. In the 2K series of football games, when you were calling a play, you would have to know how many steps are on your drop back. So if it's a 3-step drop, then it's going to be a quick pass. But sometimes you would have 5-step, and then sometimes you would have the flea flicker, which I know they have the flea flicker on here, or on the new Maddens, of course. But just the timing of it all, it really it forced you to have to play against the defensive plays, like specifically, right? And you could get really creative, and it was something special, man. I really hope that if 2K never comes back, that Madden can at least add some sort of drop step feature, but I doubt they will ever do that.
Let's look at how the ball is snapped. It's not always perfect.
You will never
If you
see
had a
that in
bad
Madden.
center or a long snapper,
Ever.
it can be inconsistent. Here the ball is delivered over the head of the punter and into the end zone. This does happen in the NFL. Another realistic animation present in this game is the strip sack animation. This animation is not in Madden. A defender grabbing your quarterback, spinning him around, and the ball flying out as he is sacked is not.
I believe in newer Maddens they did add this, but it still doesn't look as good as APF 2K8.
Not a strip sack.
No way.
In 2K8, like real life, the defender can swipe the ball out of the quarterback's hand without having to tackle him. EA hasn't yet found a way to introduce this into Madden. As you can see, for a game without an NFL license, 2K8 sure played like an NFL game, more so than its competitor. I just made a video about Madden 08, which I thought was a great game on previous generation consoles. But 2K8 was a much better on-the-field representation of football than that game. While 2K8 doesn't have a deep franchise mode or the many game modes as Madden 08 did, the gameplay blew it away. And while Madden has regressed over the years in the depth department, and not really caught up in the gameplay department at all, 2K8 continues to shine. The ball is thrown
Look
with
at
a
LT,
perfect
man. Hold on. I know. A little bit of a Chargers bias here, but this looks like actual LT moves more so than anything I've ever seen out of Madden. The way he jukes, right?
over the years
He
in
can just
the
go,
depth department, and
right?
not really caught up in the gameplay department at all.
Like, it's so fluid, and then you can just spin out of this.
Continues.
So fluid. I mean, this was back in 07, guys. I bet some of you were not even alive in 07. And yet they were making arguably more fluid animations than EA or Madden has ever. Think about that one.
The ball was thrown with a perfect arc. Throwing off of a 3 or 5 step drop was important, as the ball would come out most accurately at the end of the drop back. Running backwards and throwing the ball up would result in a wobbly underthrow.
Guys, look at also, like, I know this is glossed over, and he's not even trying to talk about this, but look at how number 55 gets an interception from this blocked pass.
Running backwards and throwing the ball.
Like in Madden, every time they're going to drop, they're not even going to go for that. It's just going to hit off of them. It's going to hit off their knee. It went through his hands, which is understandable. Like, that happens in real football, especially off a tip.
Up would result in a wobbly underthrow, just like in real life. You could throw the ball over the defense.
Okay, I knew this was coming eventually, and it is so funny how he just kind of glosses over the fact that you still cannot do this. I have tried it in Madden 25, even on Madden 16 when the passing was insane. Even back then, it was more so animation based off of the aggressive catch, more so than the actual arc of the football. So if you can imagine, this is like the angle of footballs that come into like a lob on Madden, right? It's sort of like this. But in order to get like a fade in the corner, it needs to be like dropping down right over the defender. So if you can imagine the defender is right here and the receiver is right here, you want this thing to go over the defender and have a nice, good downwards angle to get over this defender. So even if he were to jump up, right, it'd be too high for him. So it goes over the catch. The defensive back and the catcher catches it with 2 feet. Like, and he really tries to get those both feet in, as you'll see.
Receivers could actually catch fade routes.
Look at that.
I went over in my Madden video. Receivers could track the ball mid-air and adjust to it.
Look at
to
the
make
adjustment. Look at the adjustment. In Madden, even to this day, we still don't have
Receivers
this
could
kind of
track the ball
adjustment
mid-air.
mid-air. And look at too how the defensive backs, they don't know where the ball is, right? 52 has no idea where the ball is until he looks. Oh, now he sees it. Now he tries to track it. Oh, but it's over them, and it's a perfect angle. Look at how it goes over these defenders perfectly. Even though 23 is sticking out his hand trying to defend it, doesn't
to make the
matter.
catch.
It's a dot.
Offensive linemen block so intelligently that some people
Guys, don't even get me started on Madden blocking. It's not even like I can defend. Some of these things, they have improved since Madden 19 and Madden 20 when this video was made. But the blocking is still, guys, it's still a very big problem. I can't tell you how many times in Madden I'm running and there is a tackle or guard that just completely misses the blitz from the linebacker. Like completely, like he was going off on his own thing, and then the blitz, whoever's blitzing, outside linebacker, middle linebacker, whoever, they just come in and they're unprotected, unguarded. It really annoys me that they still can't figure this out even to this day. And yet back in 07, look at how intelligent these blocks are,
game was
right?
Big hits from defenders were powerful.
Mm.
Size mattered.
Size mattered in this game.
With heavy weight would play like one.
Yes.
One-on-one situations between two players would be impacted by this. By the way, 2K8 didn't have player ratings. You know how every year Madden hypes up their game by releasing player ratings on a 1 to 99 scale? 2K8 didn't do this.
So innovative.
Instead, they used gold, silver, bronze, and generic to distinguish players.
So basically what he's saying is that they made Ultimate Team before Madden, and the only difference was that all the players were free to use.
Players who weren't generic would have special abilities, which were more in-depth than player weapons found in Madden 08. And Madden is just now implementing a feature like this into their game in Madden 20. Every position in 2K8 has special abilities that a player may or may not have had. These include quick release, where a quarterback would have a faster release time, rocket arm, where you could charge up a quarterback's arm for an extra long throw, fourth quarter comeback, quick feet, run coverage, leadership bonus, soft hands, ball strip, you get it. There were so many abilities, and they were so spread out amongst the initial 250 players. This made every player feel and play differently. Now, despite the game's impressive animations, this game has the most physics-based feeling of any football game besides maybe Backbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay felt free, with the player having all the control. You never felt like you were getting sucked into a predetermined animation. I often see people argue that current Madden isn't as bad as we think, saying something along the lines of, "It's a video game, it's not going to be perfect." The issue with this excuse is that 2K8 was able to do all the stuff Madden players have been asking for in 2007.
Yes.
Madden doesn't need to be identical to real-life football, but it should be better than 2K8. Visually, the game takes an interesting approach. The player models look a bit cartoon-like, and while some are turned off by this, others, such as myself, love them. They give off a very 1980s look, a throwback to a different era of football, which is likely what they were going for considering the selling point behind this game was the inclusion of 250 licensed NFL players from an older era. It also helped the game stand out and not just be a knockoff Madden. The game is also in HD on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, which makes it more graphically impressive than its predecessor, 2K5, which ran at 480p. And like I said earlier, 2K is one of the best at having attention to detail. For an unlicensed game, the minor details were crazy. The football was very detailed.
Guys,
having visual concepts
look
written
at
on
this.
it
It looks so
in the font of Wilson,
so
the
good.
NFL's official ball, as well as an All-Pro League logo that looks just like an NFL logo. The stadiums were all
07,
unique
guys.
and honestly spectacular. You had dynamic field conditions where snow would build up and cover more and more of the field as the game went on, as well as dirt coming up from under the grass throughout the game on a clear or rainy day. Injured players would hobble mid-play, Some even attempted to keep playing and would fall as their legs collapsed under them. Uniforms had realistic cloth physics, which sounds dumb but was pretty advanced for 2007. Each position had proper footwork and technique that was sound. Presentation was as close as they could get to 2K5, with the same two fictitious announcers of Dan Stevens and Peter O'Keefe. Without the ESPN license, however, the halftime show didn't have Chris Berman, but Dan Stevens takes over and the experience is almost as good. Quarterbacks had their own signature throwing animations, which I'm glad Madden has added to Madden 20, but it just goes to show how much care was put into this game, a game from over a decade ago. An interesting change from 2K5 to 2K8 was the new kicking mechanic. This mechanic, similar to Madden's vision cone, was controversial, as it had a learning curve and wasn't easy to master. However, it's the most realistic kicking experience you could have. You need to pull back on the right joystick to snap the ball, and as the kicker winds his leg up to kick the ball, you have to push up on the stick exactly when the kicker swings his leg. The stick emulates a leg and ends up delivering an experience where you actually feel like you're kicking the ball. I personally love it and think it's the best kicking mechanic ever in a video game. Team building
Best kicking
was
mechanic
fresh and new
ever.
experience. When playing online, every team looked different and had their own set of strengths and weaknesses. This was because 2K gave players a budget of 2 gold players, 3 silver players, and 6 bronze players.
And Madden will never do this because it's more profitable to just let them have as many good players on their team as possible on Ultimate Team that they have to get from packs and or spending hundreds of hours on challenges and other collections, and
with the rest being generics.
Yeah.
This meant players had to pick and choose which positions they wanted to prioritize when building a team. For example, you'd probably want to choose skill positions with all your non-generic players, right? Well, what if the game came down to a last-second field goal, and your generic kicker didn't have the leg to push it through? Or your star running back has nowhere to run thanks to a generic offensive line. This added strategy and made online games a chess match. Similar to Ultimate Team, which happened to debut in Madden 10, 2 years later, players could play online with their unique team. It was unlikely you'd go online against the same roster ever. With Ultimate Team, however, the concept was built upon but in a worse way. Teams usually always have a mobile quarterback like Mike Vick, and grind or pay for 99s across the board. Teams don't have weaknesses unless a player was unwilling to grind or spend any money. Two 99 overall teams going against each other isn't exactly fun. Instead, it's repetitive. A 99 overall team playing a free-to-play player's 75 overall team is likely going to win by a landslide, which really isn't that fun for either side. Greed took over these companies, allowing in-game purchases in these game modes, which ruined the fun and competitive balance. Originally, like we see in 2K8's early version of the mode, it was a cool way to build a team with great players who never played together, such as Walter Payton or John Elway, on the same team. Today, this type of game mode has regressed to cheesing the AI with the same meta roster. When creating a team, you could edit every little detail of the uniform's design and colors, as well as logos. The game gave you a large amount of logos to choose from, and many of them looked pretty close to NFL logos. This creation suite opened the door to turning this game into an NFL game. While it wasn't as free as a game like Forza or NBA 2K in terms of what you could do, it was good enough to avoid any legal issues with the NFL, as well as allow users to creatively put their favorite teams into the game, or create a fictitious team with their own imagination. Sounds like 2K8 was a great game, right? So why does no one talk about it, and instead 2K5 is considered to be the best football video game ever made? Well, not many people actually played this game. The average football fan isn't going to buy an unlicensed game. It's sold poorly. Why else? No franchise mode. The developers didn't think a franchise mode would make sense in this game, as there was no way to have the historic players like Jerry Rice or Barry Sanders age correctly. A franchise mode with generic players would have been great for long-term replayability, but to be honest, it really wouldn't have made sense with the major selling point of the game being the licensed classic players.
I agree.
Instead, 2K included a single season mode, where you created a team and played through a 16-game season, and then 3 playoff games before the championship game. Then it was over. Despite this lack of depth, however, the game still managed to include the VIP profiles from 2K5, as well as have detailed stat tracking in the season, meaning, unlike Madden today, you could see what team a player played on each season when viewing career stats. Recently, however, hardcore fans of the game have been able to get more out of it than originally intended. With Madden being the way it is, most people who played 2K8 couldn't switch back to Madden without feeling like they downgraded. But without a franchise mode, there really wasn't any solution, until King Havo came around. Havo created an editor for 2K8 that gives the player the ability to not only fully customize teams and rosters, allowing them to recreate the NFL or NCAA in the game, but also adds a fully featured franchise mode to the game. That's right. This software gives this game a franchise mode. I put a link in the description to King Havo's Twitter and his website where you can download the editor. I also linked a playlist of his tutorials for using the software. Havo is also working on a football game called Legend Bowl, which looks awesome so far. He does great work. Now, despite the low sales and the lack of an NFL license, All Pro Football 2K8 could take the cake as the best football game ever made. Without a franchise mode in the box, however, it's hard for me to rank it above NFL 2K5. But 2K8 took 2K5's gameplay and improved upon it and perfected it. If you want to emulate what you see on Sundays through a video game, 2K8 is the only way to do that reliably. Anyone who is a hardcore football fan and wants to see exactly what a football game is capable of needs to play 2K8. With King Havo's editor, the game can also be a great replacement for Madden, as you can download or create your own updated rosters and uniforms. Also, at the time of this video, the Xbox 360 version of this game still has working servers, meaning you can still play it online. Due to the poor sales of the game, we probably won't ever see another football game from 2K or any other major publisher for a long time. I believe there is more of a demand for a game like 2K8 today than there was in 2007. However, most companies wouldn't want to take the risk of not breaking even, but that's okay. We still have 2K8, and with the help of software like Havo's editor, the game can last forever. Uniforms, players, and stadiums can all be updated each and every year to deliver a fresh experience. Why buy the newest Madden for $60 when I could buy this game at GameStop for $2.99, and it does a better job of portraying real football? Despite the age of the game and some faults within it, 2K8 has stood the test of time, and will likely continue to, until either Madden learns something from the game, or an unlicensed game such as Doug Flutie's Maximum Football develops into a contender. I know I will continue playing this game for a while, as I've yet to find any game that can satisfy my itch to replicate what I see on Sundays as well as this game has. You will not find a better playing football game than All Pro Football 2K8. Thanks for watching.
Alright, that's going to cap it off for this video, man. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below what you would like for me to react to next. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.